Ochnio, the Director of Counseling and Career Services.
How many years have you been working at the college?
This is my 25th year.
And what are your job responsibilities currently?
Overseeing the counseling staff and career services staff, assisting students in the transition to college, to getting out of college. So I got front door to back door responsibilities now, right?
Now, how did you come to hear about a job opening at the college 20 plus years ago?
Yeah, I was working at Connecticut College down in New London. And working down there for about 5 years, lucky enough to get a job in a bad economy, living in Vernon, Connecticut, commuting 100 miles a day for 5 years. It's a great job. I was single at the time. Unbeknownst to most people at Connecticut College, I used to go down on Monday, sleep in my office all week long, and come home on weekends, right? And then I met someone and was living in Vernon, and 100 miles a day, marriage coming, a potential family. It's a long ride. So I remember when they were putting up the new building, came over here on one Sunday morning. I went over to the brand new low building at that time outside the atrium, looking inside, going, wow, this is such a cool place. And it's only like 6 miles from my house. What a great deal. And unbeknownst to a position opened up shortly after that, and I applied and somehow got through the process. And, I never expected to be here 25 years. It's one of those things that, okay, this is a nice stop on the journey and looks like a fun place. And here we are 25 years later.
Do you remember anything about the interview during your search committee?
Well, I was nervous, yeah. I was very nervous about the position. I was going from a position as an assistant director at Connecticut College, and this was a director position. So, there with the distance and the impending, I was going to get married, this seemed like a great opportunity. And I remember really wanting the position because I was working at a private liberal arts college and spent 5 years there, but never really felt suited to the environment. And having a community college background myself and coming from a lower middle class background, I really felt there'd be more of a comfort range for me at the college. So I remember I was very excited about the opportunity and really hoping that the position would work out. I remember the inner community was very gracious and seeing things went very well that day. And remember there was a long gap between interviewing and hearing, one of those things that has not changed to this day, right? It was I think I interviewed in July, and I think I got a note in around Thanksgiving, and I actually started in January. So it was a long process, but it worked out.
Now, when you were hired, did you have an office in the low building?
Yes, my first office was a sealed dungeon in the low building, no windows, down a long corridor. It was a tough office to work in initially. I had not worked in an office without windows before. It didn't seem like much. It didn't seem like much of a sacrifice, but after spending a couple of years in an unlit natural light room, I was eager to get out, and luckily it was a short term there.
But you probably got into the low building when
relatively
the first
new.
Year of occupancy?
Yeah, relatively new. And so it was nice to be able to walk in, and it was air conditioned. It was comfortable. It seemed nice. The only thing I remember was no windows.
So what do you remember about the East Campus? Because at that time we had the fitness center down there. Probably 2/3 of the classes were down there, the TV studio.
You can go two ways on the East Campus, right? You can understand, looking back, the collegial atmosphere, the small community. It was always bustling. It seemed like our schedule was a little staggered differently, so there was always traffic and movement. And I'm not sure if we had the quote block scheduling. There were Monday, Wednesday, and Friday classes. So I remember it was always active. So it was really neat. If the low building seemed separate from the East Campus, and when you'd go down there, it's just, wow, this is where all the quote action is. So it has a nice you have a romantic memory, a romanticized memory of the East Campus, but at the same time, it was raining. You had to go from building to building. You had to, fight the cold and wind. The buildings were uneven in terms of their heating. The old fitness center used to be down on the East Campus. So for those hardy enough, used to walk down from the low building in the rain or the cold, change in one building, run across to the fitness center, which is a workout in itself, right? So we've come a long way, certainly.
Okay. Do you remember some of the people who were important in your development during those first couple of years?
Yeah, because of my location in the low building in the room 131 suite, most of my days were spent surrounded by much of the counseling staff. So those folks really had been here for a really long time and served kind of as mentors to me through the process and helped me navigate through the state bureaucratic system, which I was unprepared for in terms of filings and paperwork and procedures. So, yeah, there were some folks down there, Ron Clinton, Bill Graver, Carol Juditis, people I met, Rich Mello was down there. Great people. Gail Mazzucato, Gail Grabowski, when I came in, she worked for me. All who had been here for a good period of time, very established, and able to draw the boundaries on what you can do and what you want to avoid and how to navigate through the system.
Now, you were accustomed to working with a different type of student body at Connecticut College. Tell us your impressions of the MCC student bodies in the mid and late 80s when you first arrived here.
You know, coming from a liberal arts college that was fairly competitive, the students were high achievers, and most of them, graduated honors, top of their class. But it was very lockstep. I mean, there were 1,200 students, 300 students in a class. All of them seemingly wanted to go into advertising or Wall Street banking. So after 5 years, it was a great place to work. I felt constrained by the population. So coming to a community college, we serve students from 17 or 18 to draw your age range on the top, 80 plus. So you get to use a wide range of your skills with a wide variety of people from a very diverse background. So every time you go out to open your door, you're greeting a new person who will challenge your skills in a completely different way. And what's especially unique about MCC is that, getting into a competitive college is a bit of a lottery. What's nice about MCC and the way we've established the facility and the grounds to get in are you have a high school degree or a GED, and the energy will get you in. So it's real easy to get in. But the tough part's getting out, and that's where it requires a little, commitment and work by the students. So, in the 25 years, I've seen a lot of our students and now alumni take advantage of, the proximity and the affordability of the college to come in and basically change their lives. So, you have to have a commitment to the mission, but the mission has always been access, and that's one of the beauties of the system.
What are some of the changes you've seen at the college over the last 25 years? Physical plant as well as the college culture. Obviously,
the physical plant is probably, you can't ignore it. It's just phenomenal when we talk about these campus, which is now leveled. We come onto our campus, it's absolutely beautiful. And I think that campus and the commitment that the state has made to this institution has affected our enrollment. We're serving over 7,500 students right now. And so, what have I seen? We've seen tremendous growth, as we've all seen, which has really put a tremendous pressure on our ability to deliver services to students. So I'd say that the new facilities are great, but the folks who were architects back then said you're going to have a rebound effect when these facilities are done. Your population is going to explode, and they're certainly right. And you factor in the downturn in the economy, making the college even more affordable. It's provided the college with a great challenge.
Have you noticed any changes in the type of students who appears at MCC?
I think when I first started working here, the average age was about 30, and it was predominantly female. Over the course of the years, we've seen that change, where our student population has dropped, and we're now serving that 18 to 22 age range. So the population has become, a lot younger. More of the students now are interested in coming here for 2 years and moving on or transferring, where initially we were serving an older adult population who might be currently working, who might be coming back to get education to support their current job or advance their career. So we've seen a shift in terms of who we're serving with now some of the older students in classrooms saying they're a little uncomfortable because they feel like they're the quote older student in the classroom. So we've certainly seen that change.
Looking back at your career here, is there one thing or several things that you're particularly proud that you were involved in terms of accomplishments?
Well, certainly we've built a career services office in that time, in the 25 years, to, I think, to be an outstanding service within the community college system. We've automated, so much of it's due to technology, but we look back to how we ran an office 25 years ago to how we do things today. It's just made us so much more efficient, and it's just been great to see the technological advances which help us provide, effective services to students, from, online job postings today where students can access information 24/7 compared to 25 years ago, and we're putting things using a typewriter on a 3x5 card on a bulletin board, or producing a biweekly newsletter using the old, was it the mimeograph machine, where you'd be typing and just kind of flipping those things out. Now we're online, so it's just, we've really seen tremendous advances in the field in the past 25 years, to the point I'm kind of flush out of what's next. I just can't imagine if we reached a plateau right now where we'll sit here for a while, just because it's been so transformational.
Can you think of any particular student who perhaps you provided some counseling or job assistance? Does anyone really stand out, someone who may have been dramatically transformed through your contact with them?
There were a couple of students, and again, I'm not sure we want to go by name, so I'll bag out of here for a minute. Do we want to name a particular student by name, or just...
You can.
Yeah. There was a student, Ken Smith, who went on to work at Travelers. He applied for a very competitive program called the PACE program. An older student who didn't know, he had previously owned a string of stores and left and decided to re-career, came back to school to study IT, applied for a very competitive program at Travelers that primarily was just taking four-year students at that point. And the student went in, interviewed, they were so impressed with him, and they hired him. And it was really kind of a neat experience to see an older adult come back, re-career, and be selected by a highly competitive company in the area. And the student is, from my understanding, is still there today. So that was really one particular highlight. But we've serviced so many students, placing students in summer jobs all over the country, and getting postcards from students who are out on the West Coast or in the mountains of Colorado, working at a summer camp. So you get students who are, re-careering and going into professional jobs, to assisting a student writing a resume and helping them getting their first job, which is kind of a neat process to be a part of.
I mean, those are most of the, those are all the questions that I had. Do you have anything you want to add or talk about?
We're done.
Housatonic just completed one. But so we'll see what her legacy is, and how this all turns out for her. I just wanted to mention another thing too. I probably served on every governance committee and contract committee that there is. My favorite one is the promotion committee, because you really get to reward your fellow staff and faculty for the good deeds that they have done. So that is something I wanted to mention. I think, let me just refer to my notes, because I wanted to talk a little bit about the Women's Caucus, because I've been involved with the Women's Caucus since it formed. Really, is Mary Ann Handley again. That's why I have such respect for her, who had been here for a while and realized that it was especially the women staff members who were probably not as comfortable in their positions, certainly in their offices, as they could be. And she was worried about air quality, sick building syndrome, which don't hear about so much anymore, because they really have fixed that problem. The lighting, the seating arrangements, the desk chairs, and things like that. And so she wanted to do something about that. She felt that we needed a daycare center also. And so we started the Women's Caucus, and I've really been involved with it, since its inception, probably in the mid to late 70s. And once we got some of those major issues resolved, which we were able to do, we turned it more of us into a social organization now. But I just wanted to say, never underestimate the power of women at MCC, because if we ever need to be an advocate for a cause, I mean, we're there. and strong.
Of the Women's Center?
I wasn't really, no, although that's something that Marianne also felt that we needed, and we were able to get one established and actually hire a part-time director to work at the Women's Center, which was wonderful. We don't have that anymore, unfortunately, but I guess space was needed for some other program. But anyway, but Marianne deserves a lot of credit for establishing, that kind of organization, and it's going on today thanks to Bobby Fox. It'll continue to go here at Manchester. It's pretty strong. I do want to say that when you go out into the community and people say, well, where do you work? What do you do? And you tell them you're from Manchester Community College. I've gotten always very positive responses from people saying that they attended here, or somebody they knew attended, they had a good experience. And it's so nice to get that positive feedback from people in the community. And people are also, even today, even though we haven't had a new building in, 6 or 7 years, people who have never been to the campus before, they come and they look at our physical plant, and they are very, very impressed with it. Not only with the outside appearance, but you go in and things are clean, and things look nice, and so it's always good to get that kind of positive feedback from people. Let's see. No, I think that's about it. I just wanted to say that this is a I always admired. And your first question was, one of your first questions was, who do you remember? And they're just a whole wonderful group of talented people who have gone through these doors as faculty members and as staff, and it's been just really great to meet them. And some of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life still work here, and it's just wonderful. It's been a great experience.